G'day F1 fans. Because there's no racing on, we thought we'd get back our favourite Dutch correspondent and talk all things Max Verstappen and Red Bull. It's the one and only Mr. WimboFormula. How are you, champion? And welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me again. I was reading a bunch of the comments after the first time I made my appearance. Not everybody was happy, but I promise I'll behave. I actually have a few good things to say about Liam Lawson this time. So.
That's good. That's nice. Good.
But that's all right, because I'm going to pull you up on one thing. You did say that you thought Lewis Hamilton was going to struggle because he's not a simulator man. How's that one working out for you?
Well, actually, I'm editing a video today that he's secretly struggling already, but he's afraid to admit it because he's been very positive about the regulations and he's been negative about the regulations, and then he was positive. And at the moment, you know, I can see the first cracks appearing already in his demeanor about the regulations, asking for more power and how the hell is it possible that Leclerc is already catching up on me and those things. But you're right that there's a few things that I totally didn't expect of this season, and that's like Max struggling in a very poorly built car. I didn't expect GP to leave, which was the news that broke today. Yeah, I didn't expect the racing to be as artificial as it is right now. You're like the whole meaning of an overtake being built towards, and then finally before a turn with with a good dive being done, that's kind of gone because it's all battery.
So could say you're not a fan of the current regulation set then?
Well, those parts, no. Like I believe that a driver should make the difference in the actual racing, and drivers having to take it easy in a set of turns to save battery or to recharge their battery for extra deployment on a straight. That to me, that's not Formula One. That belongs in Formula E.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Do you think the racing, taking that out, do you think the racing has been quite exciting though over the first 3 race weekends?
Well, I compare these overtakes between, say, the Mercedes cars and the Ferrari cars, or the 2 Ferrari cars amongst themselves. Yeah, the overtaking, and then the other, the yo-yo racing. I compare it with fast food. Like, you know when you walk past the McDonald's sometimes and you think, ooh, I could do with a Big Mac meal, and then you have it, and then you go on with the rest of your day, and then half an hour later you're like, that wasn't even that nice, and I'm actually hungry again.
Yeah,
and that's the feeling I have with the overtaking at the moment. Max in Brazil 2025, he started all the way from the back. All those overtakes, yes, they were done with the aid of DRS, but they were all sort of lined up to be done in a specific corner, and then those overtakes were done with racecraft, and they stuck. And then gradually, the more people he passed, the more difficult it became. And then by the time he got to George Russell, that was a brilliant overtake where he decided not to go through the inside, but he went around the outside. And I think those overtakes are way more valuable than, having more battery and the guy in front of you having no battery.
Yeah, Mick and we've sort of discussed it a little bit. It's a bit of a double-edged sword because the racing, well, in my opinion, has been exciting to an extent over the first 3 race weekends. But I'm in the same boat where I'm not fully convinced with all this energy management, this recovery system stuff. I want to see guys take machinery and put it on the edge every lap, whether it's qualifying, racing. And yeah, I do understand that in current modern day Formula One, they're not always on the edge. There's time management, there's other factors at play. But it feels like we've we've compressed the skill a bit of the drivers. We've brought them all closer together because now it all comes down to who can really adapt best to using an energy management system, when to press a button, rather than hanging it out on the edge of certain corners. Like 130R was an embarrassment in Japan.
But, I can add to that. At some point, all the drivers will know exactly how to approach a lap with these batteries. And the algorithms of these teams, the algorithms that these teams use, they're all looking at each other. They've got all the data from all the other teams. At some point, that will all line up. Yes? So what's left then? It'll be 22 drivers driving the perfect race, pretty much, and ending up where the car needs to end up. In 2022 and 2023, we had brilliant racing thanks to the ground effect cars that allowed drivers to make the difference. So we saw drivers who had packages that were, like, let's say, able to be in the top 6 and getting podiums out of it thanks to racecraft. And I think that's sort of disappearing with all the computer manufactured algorithms that the racing is. Like, the differences that you see now is because McLaren had reliability issues. That's why they weren't there the first 2 races, or barely there. Teams and cars having to get used to all the new stuff. But as soon as that's all sorted out, then I think the racing will become, even with the regulations as they are now, become very boring again.
Do you think with the upcoming changes, because we know that they are looking at the electrical power, aren't they? About how much they can use, regenerate, deploy. Do you think later on in the season, as they get through more races and they start making these changes, that could improve what we're seeing?
I think so. Like, the need for that super clipping and drivers lifting and coasting to get that battery to, what is it, 350
kilowatts or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Megajoules.
We need more megajoules.
We need more megajoules.
But actually, they're going to allow teams to have less harvesting kilojoules.
Yeah.
I think they want to lower it to 6 or 5.
Yeah.
Because the batteries will be used less. There will be a more aligned lap where drivers don't have to lose speed.
Yeah.
We might lose 2 seconds of lap time, but if that's for everybody, like,
then at least the driver will make a difference.
The speed they're taking in these turns are still really fast.
Yeah.
But the fact that they have to back down to gain time somewhere else, that needs to be gone completely.
Yeah, I think that the biggest mistake they made was getting rid of the MGUH. Now, I understand it was a cost-saving exercise, but by taking that away, you've now had to introduce, like we've seen, cars are struggling to recharge the battery. The deployment is completely different, where with the MGUH, all it was there for was to spin the turbo to keep the hybrid system charged. So if you brought that back with today's chassis design and even, keep the boost button and all that sort of thing, that would make a massive amount of difference.
But the amazing thing is that in 2023, Christian Horner already called the car a Frankenstein car. Max had this little rant about, what he didn't like at the time already. And it pretty much all came true. The changes they made into the active aero were because the battery wasn't strong enough to get them through a whole lap. And that's why they said, okay, we need the cars more, less draggy. So we don't need that much power. Yeah. So it's basically, this is product A. Oh, that doesn't work. Let's add this. Let's add that. And then they pile things on top to make it work. And then now the regulations are here and hey, it actually doesn't work.
Nothing works. Yeah.
It just confuses current F1 fans. Imagine being a brand new F1 fan. You've just jumped into this season. You must be just going, what is going on? Like, there's just so many layers of complexity to this thing now.
If you're a casual viewer and you've seen that on-track racing and you're not too interested in harvesting and battery deployment and all that, I think you'd go, hang on a minute, this is pretty cool. But it's the not the older generation, but the true
Traditionalists.
Traditionalists. That's the word. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
That understand what Formula One has been and understand the history of the sport and have grown up with the sport, and now we've seen it in a different light. That's the split. I think to a casual viewer, you'd get on and you see the races that we had, especially in Melbourne and China. Maybe not so much Japan, but you'd go, that's all right.
I think the casual viewer, or what F1 sees, the FOM sees as a casual viewer, is the F1 girlies and young people on social media, like TikTok and Instagram Reels, who consume Formula One by being a stan of a certain driver, a good-looking, not too macho driver in a papaya outfit.
Come on, you want his hair, mate. You know you want his hair.
I'm not going to say that, but it's not Oscar Piastri. But it would be terrible if Formula One caters more to those people, because they're 15, 16 now. And by the time they're 20 and their attention span grows, then they want to maybe watch more than just some hip overtakes and some flashy radio fragments.
Yeah, and I think this is the issue Formula One faces now. Like when we were growing up, Formula One was a sport. It was a pure sport. Now it's entertainment, and we're in that thing where we want action for the whole 2 hours or 90 minutes that the race goes now. And I think that's where they need to be careful, because look, you're never going to please anyone, but are you chasing the quick 30-second market, or are you trying to keep the traditionalists of the sport?
But if we go back to the 2021 season, that was also a season with the end of a very long set of regulations, because that lasted 8 seasons. So the cars were all pretty much converged. Lewis Hamilton and Max, they fought a massive battle. Some of the races that were on the edge of your seat to see who would win out of those two were races with not too many overtakes.
Speaking of strategies and teams, what do you make of what's his name?
Giampiero Lambiase?
That's the one. It's like, I've said it about 10,000 times and I'd still get it wrong. So
yeah, that's why everybody calls him GP.
Yeah, GP off to McLaren 2028, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think internally they've all been speaking to each other, and I think it's clear that Max is leaving, and that's why GP doesn't want to be a race engineer anymore. And also, if you're in the Formula One world as an engineer, then there's a few step ups you can make. Going from a race engineer to racing director, which he is now, to being team principal, because apparently he's going to replace Andrea Stella, is a step up. So even if Max has nothing to do with it still would have been a viable option. And last season we heard the rumors already. Aston Martin wanted him, and I think Ferrari made an approach. So it's not that strange,
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
career progression, right?
Yeah, exactly. And Stella is rumored to go to Ferrari. Early reports. Yeah, you're right. it's a clear career progression. We've got to remember there's only 11 team principals on the grid. And if you want to take that step, well, sometimes you need to go somewhere else for it. McLaren, top team, well-oiled machine over there. So it's definitely a place to continue that path.
And it's all in England.
Yeah. Yep.
That's his home base. Like, I can imagine that GP had to go to Austria every once in a while as well, because Red Bull is an Austrian team. So,
do you think McLaren could make a play for Captain Max? I mean, look, everyone's going to make a play, but
I think Max is a man of his word. He promised Dieter Mateschitz at some point that he would try not to drive for any other team. And he said many times that if he didn't like this set of regulations, then his longevity in the sport wouldn't be that long.
Yeah.
So my guess is that at the end of the season, I think around October time, he'll announce that he's going to retire.
Yeah. His contract's till the end of next year, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No. His contract is for 28, 27 and 28.
Okay.
But there's a performance clause that if he's not P2 in the standings, P2 or P1, then he can walk away.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he probably specifically demanded that, he and his manager Raymond Vermeulen, in case he just didn't like what was happening in the sport or at his team.
Yeah.
Because I've also heard him say once that he'll stay at Red Bull as long as he enjoys himself, and as long as the key people stay together. And that's definitely something that hasn't happened.
Well, it's been a big shake-up over there over the last 12 months.
Because there's even talk they're not happy with the chief designer?
Pierre Wachet is being scrutinized at the minute.
Yeah. Fair enough too,
apparently that guy, he's French, so they're a little bit stubborn. And he already clashed with Adrian Newey at the time about shark inlets and stuff. And they went ahead with it, and then later on it turned out that the car was very hard to get into the right window. But I actually thought, towards the end of the last season, that they've sorted all these issues, and I didn't expect this to pop up again.
Yeah. Do you think they suffered because they chose to go so long in the development run last year?
I don't think so, because in 2021 they just developed till the last day pretty much.
Yeah.
And in 2022 they knocked it out of the park. Like if your concept is good, then the details will fill in later. You know.
So do you think
Pierre Wachet's concept is just not right?
Yeah. So do you think it's more chassis related or power unit related?
It's 100% chassis related, because I keep hearing that Red Bull is not even going to get the what is UDA or
no one knows this acronym. Mate. When Mick brought it up a few weeks back in one of our podcasts, he brought it up, explained it, and then I think it was the next podcast, I'm like, can you explain that thing again? The engine thing? He's like, what are you even talking about? I'm like, the UIAD? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a duo.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Automatic something update opportunity. Something. That's about it.
It looks like Red Bull's not going to get that. But then again, if the chassis is so bad, then there's no point in having a faster engine, because if the car keeps flip flopping through the turns from oversteer to understeer and no balance and ripping its tires apart, then a stronger engine is not going to do much.
Mate, it was a handful in Japan, those onboards on Max's car. Ooh, absolute handful. Now, you think Max will walk away? What if Red Bull can get on top of the car, Max becomes more competitive again? Do you think he would stay despite not being a fan of the regulations?
Well, for Max to stay in Formula One, the FOM needs to make some huge changes for 2027, where the nice smaller car and the lighter car can be utilized like the full 100%, and he can make his difference again with his braking style and his ability to find grip everywhere, because all that's lost now in these regulations.
Do you think Max could take a sabbatical?
Yeah, I've been talking about that as well.
Still young enough.
Yeah, like give him 2 or 3 years to get the itch for Le Mans and the endurance racing out of the way, and look after his young family. But then a lot of drivers have left and then come back, and only a few have been successful. I think Alain Prost and Niki Lauda, they had like breaks in their career.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking about winning championships. Not just winning races.
Yeah. What do you?
But most of them, like even Michael Schumacher, was like not what he used to be when he drove for Mercedes.
He was a lot older though when he came back. Well, he was about 40, right?
41, yeah.
He'd been out of the game for a little while as well. Wasn't racing anything else. I think Max could definitely stay sharp. He's definitely young enough. But again, we forget he's been racing already for such a long time in Formula One.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us forget that. What, 2015, his first season?
Like drivers used to make their debut when they're 23, 24. And then if they drive for 12 seasons, they're 36. And then that's a very good age to retire. But Max made his debut in 2015 when he was 17. So he's going to be 29 by the end of this season. And that's 12 seasons. Yeah. It's still 12 seasons of living like a monk, flying all over the place. Sprint races added, 24 races instead of the 17 when he started. You know, it's quite intensive.
Yeah, I think for me, I feel like if Max goes, that's it. He will walk away and he will just focus, like you said, purely on endurance racing.
Yeah.
Like you said, then he can have the time with his family, his friends, do all that extra stuff that he wants to do. I don't think
sim racing.
Yeah, sim racing and his GT3 team. And
I think he would get quite comfortable with that. The 24 races, the potential of 10 sprint weekends, the travel, all that. I think he would just, once he's done, I think he would be done. But what do you make of all the backlash that he's copped as of late about his comments? And then there was the incident with the reporter. And then you had the FIA saying he needs to rein it in. Then you had Red Bull saying, look, you need to rein it in.
I don't think that actually happened. I don't think Red Bull said anything to him about him sending away the...
No, like just in general about his overall comments, not just what happened with the reporter.
No. There's a lot of journalists who would love to see George Russell win the championship. And there's a lot of journalists out there who want to see Lewis Hamilton do well. And since Mercedes and Ferrari are leading the pack, any changes could change that dynamic, and they don't want that. So, of course, Martin Brundle is going to say, it's getting a bit boring, Max complaining about the regulations.
Yeah.
Like, either go or shut up about it.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want Max to use his leverage as the biggest star in Formula One at the moment to change the regulations, because they rather like where it is right now.
Yeah.
And then there's fan bases as well, you know, like there's a group of Max haters that take whatever he says and then flip it. Like at the start of the season, Max didn't like the regulation and said, well, if you don't like it, you can retire. And now he's talking about retirement and it's like, oh, shut up about retirement.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
So out of the season so far, who surprised you the most? We'll get off Max for a little bit. So who surprised you the most?
Well, Kimi Antonelli, but it's easy to say because he had 2 wins. But then at the same time, maybe Russell is a little bit disappointing, you know, because like if it was Max that loses a bunch of positions at a start against a young teammate, then I don't know what he would need to do, but he would get his position back, you know, like Max won races from P14 and P9. in a dominant car.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of young teammate, Isaac Hadjar, how do you think he's going? How do you think he's traveling in relation to Max?
These regulations are just as new for him as they are for Max. And then there's a car that can't be driven to the potential. So obviously they're going to be close. If say in Miami all the problems are fixed, then the gap will grow again between Max and Hadjar.
Yeah, you would imagine so.
And there's no shame in that, but yeah, like it's very hard to pinpoint how good Hadjar is doing. I haven't seen any crazy crashes, and he's not out in Q3, so he's doing in Q1. Sorry, he's not out in Q1, so he's doing a good job.
Yeah, it's been solid so far. I think he's doing his confidence really well.
So if Max was to leave, just a random question, who would you put in the car?
I think Red Bull is rebuilding the whole team. So you might as well put a youngster in there and let him grow, like Max has grown with Red Bull for 7 years until the 2021 season came. I don't believe in taking Charles Leclerc or Oscar Piastri from their respectable teams and then put them in Red Bull all of a sudden, and then hey, you start winning again. You know, and I wouldn't advise those drivers to do that either. You know, because I think Arvid Lindblad is promised to be the next Max. If you're Oscar Piastri and Lindblad is performing well, then probably the dynamics would shift towards the Red Bull Junior more than the hired one.
Yeah.
Who else is performing well? Mr. WimboFormula from Racing Bulls.
Liam Lawson. Yeah, I haven't seen him make any ridiculous crashes. Although, didn't he have a bit of a tiff with Checo Perez?
Yeah.
What's new
at
there?
Melbourne? Perez was racing him hard when he was trying to unlap him.
Yeah, just picked up from where they left off.
Yeah.
So
mate, that's what we want to see, mate. We want to see those personality clashes. But no, I think Liam's doing a good job so far this season.
Yeah, but you know what he's doing now? I knew he was capable of that.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I don't want to repeat what I said the last time, but you know, the really outstanding drive, you go like, wow, like how the hell did he do that? But then I read the comments of the last podcast, and apparently he finished P5 in one race.
Baku, I think.
That was an amazing result.
Yeah.
But
yeah. But I think you're right. If he can consistently be a little cleaner this year, then I think he'll do quite well. And you know, Lindblad's not going to be an easy beat.
Yeah.
No.
Lindblad looks pretty fast out of the box. So it'll be interesting to see how Lindblad's progression over the season goes as well. Yeah. But let's say, hypothetical, I love my hypotheticals, everyone knows this. Max just packs up. We get to midsummer break. He's like, I've had enough of this. I'm out. You've got Lindblad, Lawson, Yuki, Iwasa, I think is still a reserve driver for Racing Bulls. Who gets that promotion?
None of them.
I think Liam Lawson and Hadjar in the Red Bull main team, and then I think there's a junior driver who's also knocking on the door.
Solov in F2, I think it is, the Bulgarian. I think he's Bulgarian. Yeah. They reckon he's...
So you can put him in the sister team and then let it all grow until they're competitive again. That would be my...
could be an option.
That would be the logical...
Yeah, but then maybe Oracle and maybe Ford, they say, hey, we need to win races now. We need to get podiums. So we need to get a proven winner. Let's get George Russell.
Oscar Piastri.
Yeah.
Charles Leclerc.
Piastri would be a good shout because he's still young. Yeah. He's still built around him.
Yeah. Wasn't he 25 last week?
Oh, Oscar.
This week.
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah, it was his birthday.
He's old for Formula One. Getting old for Formula One.
Yeah,
jeez.
25.
Yeah.
That's the problem, right? They all start so young now. It's like by the time they get to the mid-20s, they're like veterans of the sport. Although he's only third year.
But I mean,
Fourth year?
I've heard conversations about Carlos Sainz getting near the end of his career because he's pushing 30.
Yeah.
And Alex
It's insane.
Albon is also in trouble because he's getting older. And I'm thinking,
Well, that's
Yeah.
an interesting
these
point.
guys might have still 10 years in them.
Yeah. The whole Carlos Sainz thing, because his contract comes up at the end of this season. Now, if Max is going to walk away, cool heads will prevail now because now you've got Permain and Mekis. They're not in such a rush to try and smash drivers through. I would say keep Lindblad where he is. I would like to see Lawson have another year there because I think he's doing a really good job. And I said in our preseason, in our season preview, that I thought he may struggle a little bit when it comes to like developing a race, like a competitive car. But I feel like that added pressure of being like he's the number one, right? So that instantly gives you a little bit of a pep in your step, gives you a little bit more confidence. And I think he's actually sort of thriving in that environment now where he's feeling the love a little bit more. He's being looked at a little bit differently, like you are the main guy. Carlos Sainz, I think, would be an interesting option because, yeah, his contract's up at the end of this season now. If Max is, like you said, towards the end of the year going to make a decision where he looks like he might go, I think Carlos would be a good shout.
Just depends what Williams can do, if they can get on top. Because he looks very happy at Williams, Carlos does. But the car has been probably one of the biggest disappointments besides Aston.
I think Carlos Sainz looked happy at pretty much all the teams that he drove for. He always made it work.
He's been to a lot of teams, He's been around the block with Toro Rosso, before, I think,
Renault,
5 teams?
McLaren, Ferrari, Williams, and then Red Bull.
And I mean, even if Williams is good, do you think you're going to win a championship in this set of regulations in that Williams? Probably not. So you'd probably be keen to get back into that top tier team.
I think he would say yes if they asked him. But then they passed him over last year as well. I don't think they're interested.
Well, speaking of an ex-Red Bull employee, Wheatley, where do you think he ends up? Is it going to be Aston Martin? I think that's pretty much a lock-in.
I know Newey can't stay in that position. And then if that guy is available and he left Switzerland because he wanted to be in England more, then Silverstone is a great location. That would make sense as well, even though they're not that competitive. But, there's a lot of money there and a big challenge. But, Red Bull might have an opening as well. With the way things are going now.
Exactly. Exactly. So true.
And what about the old boss, Christian Horner? Do you think he's
it's an interesting story because I actually thought that him and Flavio had sorted the Alpine thing, but then Toto Wolff got involved, and with Toto Wolff's involvement, all of a sudden a Chinese investment group started getting interested.
Yeah, is it BYD?
So
the car maker?
Yeah, there's.
I think
it's not a done deal, and he might have to sit out another year until something becomes available. But then he said that he wasn't just going to accept any team; he wants to buy in. I think Christian Horner himself is worth £400 million already, and then he has backers. So if he buys a chunk of stocks in a Formula One team, then he has the same status as Toto Wolff. And I think deep down, that's what he wants. I've changed my mind on Christian Horner so many times over the last 2 years. But seeing how things are going at Red Bull now, maybe in Austria, they should have given him, a share and let him organize things, because it's safe to say it's not getting any better. Next thing we're going to hear is that Hannah Smits is being hired by Ferrari.
Was that not maybe the plan of Red Bull? Was knock that one domino out and then let's rebuild and start again?
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. maybe they expected a bit of fallout after Christian Horner was let go.
Because it got pretty messy there, eh? There was a lot of collateral
But then,
damage. There was always,
why
I
didn't
think,
they
always
do
going
it
to be
straight
something.
away when the scandal broke? You know, like if they'd done
Well,
it
that's a
straight
good
away, then
point,
maybe
yeah.
Jonathan Wheatley wouldn't have left.
Yeah.
But wasn't it because Horner had the support from the Thai side?
Yeah, and then
That's why-
that 1% that was in
And-
the middle of the Austrian side and the Thai side was sold to another investment group, and then neither of the parties had a majority, and yeah, that's when they decided to let Horner go.
That's why dictatorship works, mate. Just have one person at the top. You need a
I've always
a strong type figure.
I've always been a
Vladimir
fan
type figure.
of a friendly dictator, because in a democracy no decisions are made because everybody keeps on talking.
Exactly. Well, this is the thing. It's all the democracy side it's the collaboration of ideas, but no one then.
I saw a video
makes
last
the
week from
decision, do
a
they?
YouTube channel called Vericitas. It's a brilliant channel. Maybe the viewers know it,
Okay.
but it also said that how do you say that word? No,
Mathematicians?
mathematically. I'm sorry.
Mathematically, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm Dutch.
That's all right.
Sometimes I
We'll give you a
struggle.
pass, mate.
That word, democracy is impossible. And then they went through the whole
Yeah.
math of why democracy doesn't work. The majority doesn't always win because people make alliances with other people that they're actually not in agreement with to get power, and then the right decisions still aren't made.
So the political podcast will be released
In the coming days.
in the coming days.
So, is 2026 a write-off for Red Bull? Or do you think...
Yeah, we thought that about 2025 as well, and then after the summer break, they still made a pretty good season out of it. So,
This
I
is it,
think
right?
I think they'll come right. I think they'll come right because it is clearly a chassis side. I think. Look, if it was power unit, I'd be far more worried. But it seems that the power unit is good.
It is something that keeps happening with Pierre Rocher's cars. You know, that they're horrible to set up, and you know, apparently I've read that he loves sort of taking risks to get extreme downforce, whereas Adrian Newey was more of a platform builder.
Start with a solid base and then move. Because that's what that was kind of the problem they had with last year's car, right? In the beginning, it was terrible. And it was really difficult to drive. And then, obviously,
it was still
sorted it out. We saw
wishy-washy
what
because
happened.
in Brazil, Max couldn't get it to work, even after resetting everything after the sprint.
But there was also the issue at the start, I think, of the last season where the correlation between the simulator
I keep hearing that.
wasn't
Adrian Newey didn't even need a simulator.
Yeah.
You know, he...
Well, look what's happened to him now, mate.
He needs a
Just
miracle,
blame it
yeah.
on that Honda engine.
I saw a video from the race the other day, and they blamed the chassis as well.
I think, we also forget Newey has designed some great cars, but he's also has in the past designed some stinkers as well. Like, it's never a home run. As much as people sort of thought him going to Aston Martin, he was going to develop this absolute weapon.
Yeah, I just genuinely think when he designs a good car, it's dominant.
Yeah.
When it's good, it's good.
When it's good, it's good.
So
Will they win a race this year?
Who? Red Bull.
definitely not Aston Martin.
Definitely not us.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope Max gets a couple of wins in his last season.
Oh, he's
He's laying
He's
it down,
confident.
He's confident.
confident. Well, look, I think there probably be some tracks that the car may hook up pretty well at. I think also it's going to be interesting to see how some of these tracks work with the current regulations, because we did see out when you look at Melbourne, there weren't a lot of hard braking zones. Japan was the same. So there's definitely going to be some tracks coming up that will be interesting in that regard as well.
Yeah.
I did see someone put up a simulation of what Saudi would have been like regarding the new regulations.
Would
See
have been
that?
a shocker.
So
I also saw a guy who made a list of fixes with data involved. That was also good to see. Yeah, a couple of changes. That the actual proposal, I think, was based off what this guy wrote. So
yeah. Well, we'll see, because they're meeting April
9th. Yeah,
April 9th, and then again
it's today.
So today, and then again April 22nd. Let's see. Hopefully, I dare say we might see some changes for Miami. They definitely need to fix qualifying. I do agree. Qualifying needs to be all about the driver.
Yeah, but in races they need to fix that super clipping and recharging as well because of the Behrman.
Well,
crash.
imagine that happening in Miami.
Yeah, but also I've heard one of my subscribers that he commented that that snap Max had in Australia during qualifying.
Yeah.
That could happen during a rain race as well, a wet race.
Yeah.
That would be very nasty.
And there's plenty of situations where all of a sudden drivers complain of getting a surge of energy because they went over a bump or the computer was confused. Like Oscar Piastri crashed in
but
imagine those things can happen in the wet as well.
Yeah.
And there's no way of catching that car then.
No.
Yeah. But then it's like, how do you come up with a cost-effective fix? This is the problem too. It's not like you can go away and they go, right, change this and it'll be sweet.
But wouldn't a lot of it be software-based though, just in regards to the electric side?
Yeah.
I've heard, I'm not techie enough.
I've heard a solution where they go to 60% aspirated engine and 40% battery. But then the objection to that was that the engines aren't tested to that degree. But that might be a solution for 2027. But basically, we need to give the drivers an opportunity to have full power the whole lap, and whether that comes from the engine or from the battery, that doesn't matter. But as long as they have the opportunity to have a full, power
at the disposal.
Access,
oh my god!
Access to their power, whether it's through the engine or through the battery.
You've just got to make it easy for them to recharge the battery.
Yeah.
If they can recharge the battery properly, then
I think the problem is now that they're allowed to collect 9 megajoules per lap to get the car to 350
kilowatts.
Kilowatts, yes.
I think it was, yeah.
And if they lower that to 250 and then they lower the megajoules to 5, that would solve all the problems of getting around the lap without using too much recharging and super clipping and lift and coast.
Yeah.
That's the way I understand it, but I'm not a technical guy either.
And this is what makes it so crazy, is that so many people are quite confused by it all. It's not easy to get on top of.
No.
And I know that Formula One is the pinnacle of motorsports from a technology standpoint, but it's just created more confusion.
Well, are they now, or are they sports entertainment? They've spent so much money becoming a global international sport for sports entertainment on and off the track. Do we need to really focus on...
Yeah, but you can still focus on entertainment with all this electrical gimmicky shit.
Yeah.
It can still be done if they want to just be purely entertainment. Yeah.
But, the whole American influence is just visible in Formula One. Like the Any Given Sunday vibe, that's the vibe you get in in IndyCar and NASCAR that you have all these drivers and all these teams, and they can all go for it on a given Sunday, and anyone can win. But I don't like that. Like I love a team knocking a chassis out of the park and then having a slightly.
You like utter Red Bull dominance, Wimbo.
No. But I don't mind seeing a team with a weaker engine but a better chassis fighting a team with a super strong engine and a less strong chassis, and then fight it out with their qualities. And
speaking of that type of thing, and going back to, I'm not going to get the acronym right, but regarding the engine updates that teams that are struggling can use, it looks like we can all see it. Mercedes has a massive advantage in this area. Yeah. Do you think come Miami or later on in the season, we'll see teams like Ferrari close that gap?
Yep.
Yeah, but over the years, I've seen Ferrari do many big upgrades. And I've seen upgrades being installed in Spain, and then 3 months later having to revert back to the old specs.
Yes.
I've seen upgrades from Ferrari that promised a lot, and then they did nothing. So
I would say Ferrari over the last decade or so have had quite the reputation of coming out with a decent car, and then developing it into an utter bucket of shit over the season.
So, and I don't think a stronger engine is going to help them with, upgrades that don't really work. But I'm wrong all the time. I could say this, and then Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc are going to win the next 8 races from Miami onwards.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Well, that's the problem, right?
That's my guess.
By the time those engine upgrades can come into effect, they would have probably already bought all these upgrades, the big upgrade for Miami, their B-spec car or whatever it is. So you're right. If the chassis isn't sorted, by the time they can do these engine upgrades, it's going to be pointless.
Yeah.
But do you think the Ferrari chassis is that bad?
No.
In comparison to Mercedes? I think it's pretty decent, right?
I think it's decent.
No, the fact that they're keeping up with Mercedes pretty much without having the strongest engine tells you a lot.
Yeah.
Because don't they reckon it's, what did they say? I can't remember. Was it like 20 horsepower down or something?
Yeah.
I mean, they are running the smaller turbo. So the longer straight stuff, high power stuff is definitely not in their window. But being able to get that upgrade in relation, to Mercedes, it could be the equalizer. Yeah. Possibly.
It would be nice.
And then, Mick, you may have an 8-time world champion, Lewis Hamilton.
In my eyes, mate, I've already got one. I did not just go.
The old rage bait.
Nah, look.
Wimbo's not falling for it. He's like, mate, I get this all the time. All the time.
I've started ignoring those people on Twitter as well now. So
I do sometimes follow your engagement and what you say to some of these people. Yeah. Sometimes I think
I used to be a lot worse.
Okay, yeah.
But
you've just mellowed out in your old age, mate.
No, but I got some clapback from celebrities, and I thought,
really?
Right, if these guys are reading my tweets, then I really need to pack it in, because I got I got cut down by Mark Hughes once.
Not the Australian Mark Hughes, Hughesy.
No, Mark Hughes from the race.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were talking about another one. And I was about to tee off.
He's the writer of Unstoppable, Max's biography, and he's from the north of England, and I actually love that guy. But I was slandering Lando Norris, and he didn't agree, and I said, it pains me that out of all the things that I've tweeted over the years, this is the one tweet that you interact with. And then one of the old presenters of Top Gear, I think his name is Tiff Needle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Tiff.
Tiff,
Yep.
yeah.
That was from... Was he on Top Gear originally? I remember he was on Fifth Gear or
He
something.
was on Fifth Gear, yeah.
Okay, well,
But he may have been Top Gear way back in the day. I just can't remember.
yeah. He told me off once. And Zach Brown has blocked me on Twitter.
Zach Brown has blocked you?
Yeah.
Mate, we have an absolute star on the show.
Yeah.
Well, I think his assistant blocked me. The girl that does his social media. I doubt he's like me, that he's sitting scrolling like, oh, screw that guy. Screw that Wimbo. I doubt he's done it himself.
I can picture it. I can picture Zach Brown doing that.
Yeah,
Definitely.
you can see him sitting with a donut.
Yep. Old Snack Brown.
Snack Brown.
I'm not phoning the Wimbo hotline.
Block this guy. Had enough of this bullshit. Mate, who else? Any other stories there?
After that, I decided to sort of pack it in, and then I've written tweets, and then by the time I was like sent, I'm like, nah, and deleted it again. But I got it out of my system, writing it down.
Writing it down, yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
I always saw it as a bit of banter, and yeah.
Well, I guess, Mick, we just need to be a bit more controversial online on X and some of these social media outlets.
Yeah.
Because I want to have some of these stories too.
Well,
you've made it when you start getting blocked. That's what I think it is.
Well, I hope you get more subscribers and more success than I have with my channel. But it's all a hobby anyway, so.
I don't know. Well, we've got you on here to leverage off you, mate. So
yeah.
At least we're straight up about it anyway.
Yeah. Honesty, mate. You get honesty on this channel.
I have some nice contacts for you. So
okay. Good stuff. I don't think there's too much more to dribble on about. I think it's more, we've got another, 3 weeks to Miami, and then 3 weeks after that until another race. So what are you going to do, Wimbo, with all this time off? What have you got planned?
Oh, I'm just going to keep doing my Saturday night live streams on my channel, and I'm going to pop out 2 videos a week. I'm probably going to do one of my funny race reviews. That's where I take one of the crazy races from 2015 to now.
Oh, cool.
And then just have a review of the funny race with some jokes in it. And I'll keep following the news, and I'll have some discussions on Twitter.
Get blocked by a few more people.
Get blocked by a few more people, yeah.
Yeah, I was over the fact that we had 2 races less quite quickly.
Yeah.
But that's probably because Max isn't winning.
Hurts,
Don't
doesn't
worry,
it? It hurts, doesn't it?
There's always Oscar Piastri and Liam Lawson to get behind the Southerners, mate.
Yeah, well, my latest video is about Oscar Piastri having a benefit with these regulations, because he's got a lot of self-control and he's got restraint.
Yeah.
So where maybe Lando Norris or somebody like Charles Leclerc, they love chucking the car around in Q3, the last lap, and Oscar's just being cool and mellow, and then he has the most energy on the straight. Well, that's my theory anyway.
No, sounds good to me.
But I think he's a dark horse for the
Mate, sounds good to me.
2026 championship. So check it out.
There you go. All right, Mick. Always leave it up to you, mate. Final thoughts. Obviously, big thanks to Wimbo as well.
You're welcome.
Well, that was my final thought. Thank you, Mr. WimboFormula. Absolute legend, man. It's always a pleasure having you on the channel. Great to hear a Dutchie's insight. As always, I hope the pain continues throughout the season.
That is rough. That is rough. But although, considering what you said about Liam Lawson, yeah, I'm on board with that, mate. I'm on board with that.
For a second, I thought that, like, oh, he must have misspoken, but this is actually what you wanted to say.
No, look, you're an absolute legend, man. We love hearing your insights into all things Red Bull and all things Max Verstappen. Make sure you guys do check out his channel. He does do a live stream on a Saturday night, so make sure you jump on and check that out. But until then, we will catch you in the next one.
Catch up.
Mate.
No. Where's your...
Oh, doo-doo.
There it is.
There.